What is the funniest sight you've ever seen? Who is the funniest person you know? Hello everyone, I'm Kathleen Pelly. Welcome to Journey with Story. I wonder what sort of funny scenarios made you laugh and who are the funny people in your life? There's nothing better than a good laugh now and then, isn't that so? Well, in honour of St. Patrick's Day, which we celebrate very soon on March the 17th, here is a very funny Irish tale called The Bee, the Mouse and the Beetle. I hope that it will make you laugh a little. Oh, remember to check out our website at www.journeywithstory.com and look at our new merchandise we're offering, Journey with Story t-shirts and Journey with Story coloring books. Now, let's take a journey with the bee, the mouse and the beetle. Early one morning, Jack's mother called him out into the yard. "All our money is spent and I'm worn thin with worry," she said. "Take the branny cow to the fair and sell her for a good price." Branny just means the colour of the cow, which is a light brown. Jack didn't like to see his mother worried, so he set off with the branny cow and promised to get a good price for her. At the fair, a crowd had gathered around a man sitting at a table. Jack was curious to know what they were staring at, so he stepped closer to take a look. On the table sat a bee with a tiny harp, a mouse and a shiny beetle. The man gave a whistle. At once the bee began to play the harp. Then the mouse and the beetle got up on their hind legs and began to dance together. When they heard the music, every man, woman and child in the crowd began to hop and jig. And so did all the pots and pans at the fair, and Jack and the branny cow herself. Then the man put the bee, the mouse and the beetle away in his pocket. Everyone fell about, puffing and panting and laughing until they had tears in their eyes. The man beckoned to Jack. "I'll give you this bee and the harp in exchange for your branny cow," he said. Jack imagined how good it would be to see his mother laugh, and so he agreed. When Jack got home, his mother asked if he'd got a good bargain for the branny cow. "Oh, yes, mother," said Jack. And he put the bee and the harp on the kitchen table and gave a whistle. As soon as the bee began to play, Jack and his mother started to hop and jig, and all the pots and pans and tables and chairs, and even the house danced too. Then Jack put the bee away in his pocket, and they both fell about, puffing and panting and laughing, until they had tears in their eyes. However, when the laughing stopped, Jack's mother was very cross and told him he was a silly fellow. "Tomorrow you'll have to sell the black cow," she said. The following day, Jack returned to the fair with the black cow. Once more he saw the man with the mouse and the beetle. When the man whistled, they began to dance together, and every man, woman and child in the crowd hopped and jigged, and so did all the pots and pans and Jack and the black cow herself. Then the man put the mouse and the beetle in his pocket, and everyone fell about puffing and panting and laughing until they had tears in their eyes. "That's a fine black cow, Jack," said the man. "Will you give it to me in exchange for the mouse and the beetle?" Jack remembered how good it was to see his mother laugh, and he agreed. When he got home, his mother asked if he'd got a good bargain for the black cow. "Oh, yes, mother," said Jack. And he put the bee and the harp, the mouse and the beetle on the kitchen table and gave a whistle. Then the bee played the harp, and the mouse danced with the beetle. Then Jack and his mother began to hop and jig, and all the pots and pans and tables and chairs, and even the house danced. When Jack put them all away in his pocket, he and his mother fell about, puffing and panting and laughing until they had tears in their eyes. But when the laughing stopped, Jack's mother was very cross and told him he had ruined them both. Jack sat out in the lane feeling wretched. There were no more cows to sell and not a penny in the pot. Then along came a tiny woman who sat down beside him. "Have you heard the King of Ireland's daughter hasn't laughed for 7 years?" she said. "He's offering half his kingdom to anyone who can make the princess laugh 3 times. Jack jumped up and went straight to the king's castle, where he asked to see the princess. He set the bee, the mouse, and the beetle on the table and paraded them before her. When she saw the tiny procession, the princess smiled. Then she giggled, and then she laughed merrily. Jack took the harp out of his pocket and gave it to the bee. When he whistled, the bee began to play, and the mouse and the beetle danced. As soon as they heard the music, the king and the queen and the princess began to hop and jig, and all the crowns and thrones and even the castle danced too. Then Jack put the harp back in his pocket, and everyone fell about, puffing and panting and laughing until they had tears in their eyes. But when they stopped, Jack wondered how to make the princess laugh a 3rd time. Suddenly, the mouse twirled around and swung her tail right into the beetle's mouth. The beetle coughed and spluttered and stamped his tiny foot. Then the princess laughed once again and clapped her hands with glee. The king was overjoyed. He sent Jack home to his mother with half a kingdom, and never another day passed without the sound of their happy laughter and the music of a tiny harp. Well, does this story remind you of any other story about a fellow who had to make a princess laugh? Why don't you check out episode 163, The Golden Goose, and hear for yourselves another version of this story. Cheerio, then join me next time for Journey with Story. Music and post-production was by Colette Jonas.